Welcome back to our channel for another deep dive into the thrilling world of Genoa City. Today is a fantastic day to unpack the latest explosive drama unfolding on your favorite daytime soap. Grab a cup of coffee and settle in, because the upcoming twists will leave you completely breathless. Let's get right into the heart of the action. Young and the Restless. Spoilers. A shocking family secret looms over a disastrous romance. The landscape of Genoa City is forever shifting, a turbulent chessboard where alliances are forged in desperation and shattered by betrayal. Yet nothing could possibly prepare the residents for the absolute shockwave that is about to hit the canvas as a deeply unsettling romance begins to blossom amidst a labyrinth of deceit. The highly controversial and incredibly dangerous dynamic between Phyllis Summers and Matt Clark is about to take center stage, pushing multiple characters to their absolute psychological limits. In a town where grudges are held for decades and vengeance is a family tradition, the prospect of these two notorious manipulators joining forces, let alone embarking on a romantic entanglement, is enough to send a chill down the spine of every member of the Newman and Abbott families. But as the layers of this new storyline are peeled back, it becomes terrifyingly clear that a shocking family secret is hovering just beneath the surface, waiting to detonate and destroy everything in its path. The sheer audacity of Matt Clark asking Phyllis Summers out on a date is a testament to the complex, twisted psychology of a man who claims to have lost his memory but still retains the predatory instincts of a master manipulator. It was not so long ago that Phyllis, backed into a corner by the crushing weight of Victor Newman's artificial intelligence framing scheme, knocked Matt unconscious, tied him up in a suite at the Grand Phoenix, and planned to use him as the ultimate bargaining chip to save her beloved Summers conglomerate. By all logical metrics, Matt should despise her. He should be seeking a brutal, unforgiving revenge for being treated as a mere pawn in her corporate warfare. However, Matt's current predicament has given him a twisted sense of empathy for the fiery redhead. He knows exactly what it feels like to be trapped in the suffocating grip of the Newman family's power. Currently, Matt is facing an agonizing dilemma of his own. Victor Newman has forced him into a corner, blackmailing him into acting as a corporate spy to sabotage Kane Ashby at Chancellor Industries. Matt is a man walking on a tightrope, fully aware that one wrong move will result in Victor sending him to a federal penitentiary for the rest of his natural life. Because of this shared subjugation under Victor's iron fist, Matt sees a kindred spirit in Phyllis. He understands the profound desperation that drove her to betray him. He recognizes that her actions were not born of malice toward him, but of a frantic, clawing need to survive the systematic destruction of her life's work. With his traumatic past swirling in the shadows of his supposedly fractured mind, Matt decides to extend an olive branch. He confidently approaches Phyllis, suggesting they put their volatile history behind them and explore the undeniable, crackling chemistry that lingers between them. He wants to take her out on a proper date, an invitation that carries the weight of 1,000 unspoken threats and promises. For Phyllis, the invitation is both incredibly jarring and strangely intoxicating. She has been stripped of her pride, her company, and her sense of security. Christine Blair Romalotti is breathing down her neck, armed with Victor's fabricated AI evidence, ready to lock her away for corporate espionage. Her son Daniel is looking at her with cold disappointment, and even her trusted attorney, Michael Baldwin, has warned her that she is walking on the edge of a razor blade. In this profound state of isolation, Phyllis is desperately lonely and craving an ally who understands the dark, messy realities of survival. While she knows that Matt Clark is a walking time bomb, a man who tortured Sharon Newman, kidnapped Nick, and orchestrated a deadly explosion in the Mojave Desert, she cannot deny the magnetic pull of his attention. Phyllis is a woman who has always danced with the devil, and right now, Matt is the only person in Genoa City who isn't looking at her with judgment. Against her better judgment, and perhaps driven by a subconscious desire to provoke the Newmans, Phyllis accepts his invitation. The venue Matt selects for their highly anticipated date is none other than the Shadow Room. The choice of location is steeped in a heavy, almost suffocating irony. The Shadow Room is the pride and joy of Noah Newman, the very man whose life Matt recently tried to extinguish in a fiery blaze, and the son of the woman Matt psychologically tortured for years. As Phyllis and Matt step into the dimly lit, atmospheric club, the tension is immediately palpable. The neon lights cast long, ominous shadows across their faces, perfectly mirroring the dark secrets they are both harboring. Matt pulls out all the stops, turning on his signature charm. He plays the role of the misunderstood amnesiac to perfection, speaking softly about his desire to build a new life, to shed the monstrous legacy of his past, and to find someone who can see the man he is trying to become. Phyllis listens, her sharp, calculating eyes studying his every micro-expression. She is captivated, yet her internal alarms are blaring. The date begins with a surprisingly romantic rhythm, a delicate dance between two predators trying to convince each other that they have been tamed. However, the fragile illusion of their romantic evening is destined to be shattered in the most spectacular fashion imaginable. Noah Newman, who has poured his heart and soul into resurrecting the Shadow Room, happens to be on the premises. He is already carrying the massive, crushing weight of his girlfriend Sienna Bacall's dark history with Matt, as well as the agonizing trauma of watching his father, Nick, succumb to a fentanyl addiction directly caused by Matt's sadistic games in Las Vegas. When Noah steps out from the back office and his eyes land on a secluded booth, his blood instantly runs cold. There, sipping cocktails and sharing intimate smiles, is Phyllis Summers, the woman who has caused his family endless grief, sitting across from Matt Clark, the monster who has haunted his family's darkest nightmares. For Noah, this is not just a distasteful sight. It is a blatant, unforgivable desecration of his sanctuary. A fierce, protective rage boils over within Noah. He cannot simply stand by and watch this grotesque display unfold in his own club. With his jaw clenched and his fists balled tightly at his sides, Noah marches across the floor, cutting through the ambient music and the chatter of the patrons. The atmosphere in the club instantly drops by 10 degrees as Noah arrives at their table, casting a looming, threatening shadow over the couple. He does not offer a polite greeting. Instead, he launches into a tense, aggressive confrontation, demanding to know what the hell Matt is doing in his establishment. Noah's voice is low but dripping with venom, a barely contained explosion of years of generational trauma. He glares at Phyllis, questioning her sanity and her complete lack of moral boundaries for associating with a man who nearly killed his father and terrorized his mother. Matt, ever the calculated sociopath, initially attempts to maintain his facade. He raises his hands in a gesture of surrender, playing the card of the confused, reformed amnesiac. He calmly tells Noah that he is just trying to enjoy a quiet evening and that he doesn't want any trouble. But Noah is relentless. He refuses to buy into the amnesia narrative. He begins a suspenseful, aggressive interrogation right there in the middle of the club. Noah pushes Matt's buttons, bringing up the explosion at the gas station, the fentanyl-laced drugs, and the psychological torment inflicted on Sharon. Noah is deliberately trying to provoke Matt, desperate to crack the calm exterior and expose the violent, unhinged psychopath lurking beneath. Noah's words are sharp, calculated strikes, designed to trigger Matt's buried memories and force a public meltdown. As the interrogation escalates, Noah edges dangerously close to a shocking family secret. He taunts Matt about his hidden connections, hinting at the dark, unspoken truths tying Matt to Sienna and the Vegas underworld. Noah implies that he knows Matt is playing a massive, deceptive game with Victor Newman, and that his presence in Genoa City is part of a much larger, far more sinister conspiracy. The mention of these hidden truths causes a microscopic shift in Matt's demeanor. The charming smile falters, replaced for a fraction of a second by a cold, dead-eyed stare that sends a shiver down Phyllis's spine. Matt's posture stiffens, and the underlying threat of violence suddenly becomes a tangible, terrifying presence at the table. The confrontation is no longer just a verbal sparring match. It is a ticking time bomb of masculine ego and deep-seated hatred. Realizing that the situation is mere seconds away from devolving into a full-blown physical brawl that could result in arrests and catastrophic media fallout, Phyllis is forced to intervene. In a rare moment of playing the peacemaker, she stands up, placing herself physically between Noah and Matt. She uses her commanding presence to try and de-escalate the tension, speaking to Noah with a mixture of stern authority and surprising calmness. She tells Noah that he has made his point, that they are leaving, and that causing a scene in his own club will only hurt his business. She then turns to Matt, her voice firm, ordering him to stand down and walk away. Phyllis is desperately trying to keep the peace, but as she looks into Matt's eyes, she sees the raw, unfiltered rage that Noah has successfully brought to the surface. It is a terrifying glimpse into the abyss of Matt Clark's soul. The romantic illusion of the evening is completely irreparably destroyed. The whispers of the surrounding patrons fill the air as Phyllis and Matt are forced to make a hasty, humiliating exit from the shadow room. The tension between them on the sidewalk outside is thick enough to cut with a knife. Matt attempts to smooth things over, to reclaim the charming narrative he had spun earlier in the evening. But the damage is done. The mask has slipped, and Phyllis cannot unsee the monster that Noah so aggressively dragged into the light. The date, which had started with such dangerous promise, has ended in a spectacular, sobering disaster. In the quiet, isolating aftermath of the ruined evening, Phyllis is left to grapple with a profound epiphany. As she sits alone in her hotel suite, the adrenaline fading into a cold, creeping dread, she begins to seriously reconsider her relationship with Matt. She realizes that Noah's fierce intervention was not just the angry outburst of a protective son. It was a blaring, unavoidable warning siren. Phyllis starts to piece together the fragments of the confrontation, the subtle hints Noah dropped about a looming family secret, and the terrifyingly cold reaction from Matt. She realizes that by aligning herself with Matt Clark, she is not just rebelling against Victor Newman, she is willingly walking into a web of destruction that could cost her her life. Phyllis is brilliant, calculating,